and welcome to Sunset TV. I am Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. The Indian banking sector remains resilient and stable. Various parameters relating to capital adequacy, asset quality, liquidity, provision coverage and profitability are all healthy. That's the statement from the Reserve Bank of India amid heightened concerns about the exposures of banks to a business conglomerate. Allaying fears of systemic risks, the central bank has said, as the regulator and the supervisor, the RBI maintains a constant vigil on the banking sector and also on individual banks with a view to maintain financial stability. Banks are also in compliance with the large exposure framework, the LEF guidelines issued by the RBI. Now, the statement from the central bank was a reiteration of what Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said on the issue as well. She too had asserted that the Indian banking system remains healthy. Having gone through the twin balance sheet problems, the system is at a comfortable level, NPAs are coming down, recovery is happening, and the position is very sound. So that was the precise statement made by the Finance Minister. In Perspective today, we will analyze with experts the factors contributing towards a resilient and stable banking system. We'll also try and understand concerns about the vulnerability of banks to frauds and scams that have happened in the past. Joining me are distinguished experts who understand the system and can help explain all aspects related to the current health of the banking system in India. With me in the studio is Dr. Charan Singh, former chairman, Punjab and Sindh Bank. He's also been associated with the Reserve Bank of India for a couple of years in the 80s. Next to him is Mr. A.K. Mattu, is banker and former general manager, RBI. And joining us virtually is Ms. Deepshikha Sikarwar, senior editor at the Economic Times. Thank you to all my panelists for joining me on this edition of The Perspective. Dr. Singh, first, the significant remark made by the Reserve Bank of India about the health of the banking system, about it being resilient and stable. So that's something which is very, very positive to look at. And if I may begin by asking you, in the wake of, first the COVID outbreak, then the uncertainty that came about as a result of the geopolitical tensions, what has helped the Indian banking system remain resilient?
So first of all, I must mention very confidently that the Reserve Bank as a regulator is par excellent. The whole world recognizes it. They come out regularly with their reports. The Financial Stability Report, which was just released in December, had laid out everything so well. But before I go into the details of what came into the Financial Stability Report, which will reassure that how the banking system is so robust in our country, I must mention two facts. One is, while I was studying abroad in Stanford, I had a chance to interact with Janet Yellen, who was the chair of Fed Reserve San Francisco. In 2004, she wanted to know how does Reserve Bank handle regulation and supervision of such a heterogeneous set of financial institutions.
Right.
You have commercial banks, public and private foreign. You have cooperative banks, state and central. Then you have non-banking finance companies. Along with it, when I was working at the IMF, I was turned in 2009. In Washington, Fed Reserve had invited officers from the Reserve Bank of India, 2009, after Lehman Brothers, to tell them how the Reserve Bank regulates such a heterogeneous group of companies. So the respect that the Indian regulator has, commands in the rest of the world is extremely high. Given that first-hand experience, now let me bring you to the Financial Stability Report released in December 2020. It clearly said the gross non-performing assets are at a 7-year low and the net non-performing assets are at a 10-year low at 1.3%. Please don't forget, there was a time in 93-94 when the non-performing assets were in the range of 20 to 22%. India, as a country, economy is doing well. That helps the banking system do well. The regulator is extremely watchful, both at the macro level as well as the individual institution levels. And the regulatory department of the Reserve Bank comes out regularly with their different reports, but I must say that the report on financial stability, which does the stress test and comes out, discusses in detail what are the scenarios, what are the stresses, and how to remedify it every 6 months. So never is the Reserve Bank away from the financial institutions in this country. The last thing I want to tell you is, in our country, the public sector banks, they have Reserve Bank of India officers watching it on a regular basis. So therefore, the health of the Indian financial system is so very well regulated and supervised by the regulator, and that is why you will find that after Lehman Brothers 2008, nothing happened to the Indian banking system. Even in 97-98 during Asian crisis, nothing happened to the Indian banking system. And even during COVID and post-COVID, before COVID, our NPAs were little high. But the way the government and the RBI, including recapitalization of the balance sheet of banks, including Punjab Sind Bank, where I was their chairman, the way they handled it, there was never an opportunity to let the bank slip out of hand. That is why you find the whole system is extremely robust, and financial stability in the country is a role model for the rest of the world.
Okay, so that's very, very heartening to hear that, our financial systems, our banking system is robust and very stable. But Mr. Mattu, how have we been able to bring down the NPAs? You've been also associated with the Reserve Bank of India for so long. Help us understand what went wrong in the years when we saw that the NPAs were at an all-time high, and now, as per the Financial Stability Report, they are at an all-time low, at a 7-year low, as Dr. Singh cited. So what are the corrective measures that have been taken during this period to check that the NPAs are at lower levels?
Thank you, madam. Madam, see, actually, this NPA is a ongoing risk to any lending process. And RBI, as my co-panelist, Mr. Charan Singh has already stated that RBI has been doing a commendable job, and he has explained quite a lot. Apart from what he has said, I just want to add that we also keep at micro level, the advances at the micro level. They, for example, 5 crore and above, they are continuously monitored on an ongoing basis. We have in RBI, we have a credit information, regular feedback of all large borrowers which are above 5 crores in the form of credit repository on information of large credits. So whatever we feedback, banks are required to feed that information on each such borrower account on an ongoing basis, on quarterly basis. So if there are discrepancies, we also analyze at our level whatever information has been submitted, whether it is consistent. In case there is any discrepancy, we refer back and keep whether banks are taking action to improve, how they are going to improve the position over a period of time. So I think whatever, and this 5 crore and above advance level is quite fairly large enough to cover all major advances in the banking system. And you see, the advances of the banking system, apart from corporates, there are MSMEs also, agriculture also, but they constitute a good chunk of advances. So my view is RBI has already come out with that their clarification. I don't think there is any need to worry.
That's in fact a huge assurance, like you said. In fact, Ms. Sikirwar, if I may come to you, the clarification and the assurance that the Reserve Bank of India has sought to make because of the huge concerns that were emanating about the exposure risks of banks to a business conglomerate. But now coming to the causes behind that concern, and because we've seen that in the past, how our banking systems have been vulnerable to scams and all sorts of frauds. The question here is, despite the right mechanisms, despite the framework, and as Mr. Mattu said, there is a database system as well that monitors loans beyond 5 crore. The question is, why are banks still vulnerable to frauds, leading to concerns that even if something goes wrong, there are huge concerns about how it poses a systemic risk to the banking system at large?
I think these concerns were a bit overplayed in particular situation which emanated. And RBI, I think just to calm the nerves, has sort of come out with a statement, because our banking system, our banking sector, and the parameters and the monitoring by RBI remains very robust. So I think these concerns were a bit overplayed on the exposure because there are number of parameters, number of mechanisms that the Reserve Bank has put in place. And you heard Dr. Charan Singh on the show, you heard Mr. Matu on the show. The mechanisms are all there in the place and they are working. We've seen the health of banking sector like really improve over the past few years. We did face those the twin balance sheet problem and measures were taken to address those issues. NPAs declined, with recognition, resolution, recapitalization, reforms, the 4R strategy that the government had adopted to improve the health of the banking system. So the mechanisms are all there in the place, and RBI statement sort of makes it very clear that there is constant vigil happening within the central bank, the banking regulator. So those concerns are definitely were overplayed.
One more thing, see, there are basic parameters to judge the health of the bank. For example, first of all, it is CRAR, credit to risk-weighted asset ratio. Now, as per RBI and as per our that Basel committee report, we are supposed to keep up to 8%, but RBI has prescribed 9% plus a CCF of 2.5%, that is counter-cyclical buffer. So it becomes 11.5%. So as on, I have got the data, as on September 20, CRAR of the entire scheduled commercial bank was around 15.8%, which increased to 16.5% in September 21. And on September 22, it is still 16.1%, well above the prescribed level of 11.5%. Now, RBI has also undertaken a stress test, as Mr. Charan Singh had earlier pointed out, and in the severe stress situation, they have worked out that even in the worst scenario, the CRAR would not go beyond 14%. So I think they have also found that the stress test, whatever stress test RBI had conducted, they have observed that the system is capable of absorbing macroeconomic shock without requirement of additional capital. So this is one of the major, shock absorbing mechanism available with the banks. Number two, if you see the return on assets over a period of time, September 20 to 21, it has increased from 0.6 to 0.8%. Return on equity 7.7% to 9.0%. So, and I think the asset quality review which RBI initiated from 2018 onwards, it was very clean, and banks have responded to the shortcomings whatever they were pointed out. They also screened their various accounts and database to look for whatever deficiency they had, they have tried to plug in. So that way, I think some of the important parameters of as RBI has said, asset quality, liquidity, profitability, and CRAR, they are quite encouraging. So I don't think there is any issue relating to at present, whatever based on the data availability of data, whatever we have now, there should not be any concern as of.
Okay, since you laid emphasis on the availability of data, Professor Singh, the question is that it's not that such scams and frauds have not happened, and at bigger scales we've seen that happen with people actually not paying up and leaving the country. For that to not happen, there are effective mechanisms in place, but are there loopholes which are being exploited, which can still be exploited, and which we need to plug?
So let me go back a step back, right? Your question was, how do we maintain such a robust system and how did the correction take place? So every time there is an error, the Reserve Bank has bucket by bucket analysis and sector by sector analysis. Which sector is taking the brunt? Where is the stress? Are they rising in education loans? Are they rising in MSME? Is it the large industry? Is it the cement industry where it is rising? So it takes a view. So what RBI does, it has prudential norms, macro-prudential norms, and then institution-wise norms. Moment it sees there is a stress in this area, in this sector, in this segment of the export or industry, it will advise the banks. Cautious, careful, this is because they publish so regularly, all the bankers know where are the stress levels too, and they do the correction themselves. They've also started discussing about the risk assessments. Each bank has a risk assessment department, risk assessment officer. They're so cautious in watching, here is a storm, here is a drain, let's stay away. More than that, over a period of time, the Reserve Bank guided people. And what did it say? Instead of waiting for 90 days to know there is going to be a stress and people are not paying, on the very first day that he has not paid the interest or the installment, start talking in terms of special mention accounts. So you don't wait for the doomsday. You are watching, nurturing. It is something like, it is very easy to understand. You've seen a potter, the wheel is working, inside the hand is there to support it, from outside the hand is there to support it. That is how the Reserve Bank does. It has its own people in the board, they're watching everything, they're guiding. It has people sitting outside the board, watching and guiding. Over a period of time, it has been evolving. The special mention accounts weren't there earlier, now they are there. Given this scenario of evolution of regulation and supervision taking place, now the Indian regulator is able to say it's amongst the best in the world. So much so that the Nobel laureate Stiglitz had once observed if Dr. Y.V. Reddy, governor of the RBI, was the Fed chairman, Lehman Brothers would not have happened. That is the strength, resilience, and the pride of our regulator. The question, despite our knowledge base so good, despite data being collected so uniformly, and despite our vigil, how do frauds still take place? There is always, in regulation, there is one theory. If you regulate too much, you will strangulate. There will be no creativity, there will be no growth. If you regulate too less, there will be error and failures. So the Reserve Bank has always made an attempt of a prudent regulation. Not too much, not too less. In that trade-off, sometimes somebody can take off and exploit the system. You know, Harshad Mehta did it, and that became history. So many such things can happen. If there is a loophole, the Reserve Bank immediately jumps in, guides people and say, here is the stress emerging. Now let me give you an example. There is the geopolitical situation worsening and there is a war in Russia and Ukraine. Exports to those areas or exposure to those areas can make the bank vulnerable. So the Reserve Bank will guide, but somewhere an error can take place and that can become a loophole. One more thing I want to mention is this is the time when the government had always been giving, and Mr. Mathu mentioned it, the capital adequacy ratios. If there are buffers, there is a mechanism you can fall back without the government getting worried. Buffers have been built in by the Reserve Bank, as he mentioned, much over and above the Basel norms, which are globally accepted norms. We have given an extra buffer in case there is an error, we are able to take care of it. But the best thing is, in the budget this time, there is no provision of capital adequacy or capital infusion of funds. That means in the assessment, the Reserve Bank and the government both are confident that in the year to come, the banks are in such a robust situation, given the stress tests which have been reported, that the government will not have to intervene. The banks will work on their own. And the reason why the banks will work on their own is the growth pattern is very healthy in the country now. Sectorally, the growth very well taking place. Banks' health and the economy's health are intertwined. If the economy is doing well, the banks will do well. And banks, in a way, you can also visualize providing oxygen to the system wherever required, supplementing wherever required. So the banks, because they are so adequately capitalized now, there are no fears.
The question here is, the effort is constantly to minimize those errors. You spoke about the availability of data. Is it possible to, put out a wrong data, even though the RBI is maintaining vigil, but it deals with data available to it? Is it possible for banks to fiddle with the data, not provide the correct data, and and it gets flagged only when that scam or the fraud has happened? Because, and I ask you this because every time there is any such, report, it is flagged up in a manner that it has, become a headline story now.
See, I'll tell you one thing. Nothing, you see, it's very difficult. There are checks and balances at different levels. So if you want, if the fence starts eating the crop, then God is the final, they are basically the custodian, they are supposed to ensure data integrity. It goes from one level, then another level in the bank, then the final level, then comes to RBI, different level up. It's very difficult that all the people will go wrong at the same time. It's very difficult. I cannot say if you want 100%, guarantee from me. I cannot say that, but I think it is ruled out. Barring unforeseeable circumstances, I cannot say that. But one thing is there. Given the kind of back and forth exchange, you see, if something comes RBI, if something is gets missed at level A, it may get picked up level B, level C. Then in RBI, different officers see a different point of time. You see, we have a concept of frequent transfers. See, data may go wrong on year 1. Year 2, somebody else will come. He might see that last year I had sent a wrong data. I will improve. And if that this change is noticed by RBI, RBI will say that you had reported this on a particular year. Why there is a change in the next year? So that way, I think it's very difficult. I cannot say. Yes, banks are exposed to risk, whether it is credit risk, whether it is market risk, whether it is operational risk, technological risk, people risk.
And, it impacts...
you see, the risks are there. There are systems and procedures in place to mitigate, or if not eliminate completely, to mitigate risk at every level. There are people are getting changed at frequent transfers.
But the fact, Mr. Mattu, that these risks erode the trust and credibility of the system when corruption is, the undercurrent. And we've had high-profile cases with implications for the public at large, for the banking system. But Ms. Deepshika Sikarwar, the question here is, our banking system currently is stable, is robust. How can we strengthen it further by the use of talent, by the use of technology in the times to come?
Tina, if you remember, a lot of work began on the banking sector soon after 2014. Roadmaps were prepared, there were massive plans prepared, and now the government is moving towards, after addressing the key concerns, NPAs, capitalization of the banks, now the government is moving towards a substantive reform in terms of privatization. We've had, a speech, in the budget speech, finance minister in our previous budget speech, she had announced that, now we are taking that road. So the idea is now to have some big banks within the, public sector and move to the next level where you start reforming in terms of, privatizing a few of them.
Right.
Apart from that, RBI is constantly coming out with changes in the regulations to improve regulations, to improve monitoring, to improve vigil, and what else can be done. So that kind of thinking, that kind of input is constantly coming from the regulators and also from the policy side, from the government. So I guess if any changes are required, I think the government will work on towards that. We've already seen that, the budget speech does talk about some changes in the regulatory framework of financial sector regulators. So I think we are as a country ready for the next level in the financial sector.
Professor Singh, one last word from you on strengthening the system further where there is no scope for error and where there is no scope for corruption.
See, let me tell you, the best of the healthiest people in the country also run a temperature, suffer from sore throat and things. The best of the best systems in the world would have some flaw which will appear for some reason, as you was mentioning, the type of risk that the system is exposed to. Also, money is very tempting. And it is not like producing a car. You are in the business of money. And right from the branch clerk to somebody right up is facing so much of these difficult decision making.
But it shouldn't be of that scale where it hurts the sentiment of the common investor.
But it hasn't. In our country, once in a while, such a huge country, and if I tell you in the last 10 years, tell me the frauds, you will tell me 5 frauds. In such a large country, such a heterogeneous system, I think that's something one can understand. And every fraud has been used as a corrective measure. I must tell you, there's some research which I have also done where we found that in most of the cases of fraud, somebody internally was involved. So therefore the tweaking is possible. But it has been nipped very fast. Before it assumed great proportions. Why did that happen? The Reserve Bank's monitoring mechanism has something called red alerts. If the trends are not matching, or there is something untoward happening in the branch, or the data from a typical bank or a sector has come up to their notice, they go cracking on it. So therefore the possibility is minimized. However, technology can help in a very big way. And that's exactly what the Reserve Bank has been doing. Technologically, it has been implementing schemes into the banking system so that the chances of these red alerts are far frequent and faster, so that they can jump into the problem immediately as they find a leakage anywhere. The other thing I must mention, you were talking about data. The Reserve Bank is known, and there's a fear in the mind of bankers that in case they send wrong data, the Reserve Bank notices it within a few hours and come back and say wrong data has come from you. That is how strong the regulation is. And that is why the scope of error or the number of frauds that are happening in the country are so small. If you compare it with the rest of the world, Indian financial system emerges as the best regulator, the best supervised with minimum errors. That is why the Financial Stability Report very rightly marked that 1.3% is the net non-performing assets, lowest in the world and the lowest in our country for the last 10 years.
So very robust framework with adequate checks and balances.
One small 2 points I
Yes,
would like
very
to
quickly,
add
Mr.
very
Patel.
quickly, which would reassure the audience. See, first of all, if you see the history of, no bank has been allowed to fail since 1963. That is one of the greatest achievement of the Indian banking system by RBI. Why does a bank fail? Because of certain, problems like poor asset quality, frauds, or poor management, inefficient management. So there have been so many instances where the banks were amalgamated but not allowed to fail. No depositor has been allowed to lose money. So that is one of the greatest reassurance to the Indian public. Even in the recent past, there were a couple of instances. Yes Bank, Punjab, that cooperative, Maharashtra Punjab Cooperative Bank, something was there. So, somehow or the other, the depositors' interests have been saved. Number two, the international rating agencies, Moody's Investor Services and Standard & Poor Global Rating, they have also upgraded their outlook for the Indian banking system based on the present, data setup. They expect the asset quality of the banking system to improve, profitability of the banking sector to improve, and the bank's capital is also likely to rise. So I don't think these rating agencies are also external agencies. They have nothing to do with the Indian context.
Right.
So I think that should be reassuring to our Indian public.
Absolutely. So reassurance is not just from the Reserve Bank of India, from 3 domain experts who've actually explained how the system works and how there are adequate checks and balances, and to ensure that there is minimal error also. So I think we're all assured that the Indian financial system is on extremely strong footing, as the Reserve Bank of India has reiterated, and for now there is no systemic risk as such to the system. So that having been said, we'll have to wind up the program. Thank you to both panelists for joining us in the studio, and Ms. Deepshika Sikkarwar for joining us virtually and putting across your thoughts before us and our viewers. And to you viewers, thank you very much for your time. I'll see you same time on Monday now. Take good care of yourselves. Have a good weekend.
ಲೋಕಸಭಾಧ್ಯಕ್ಷ ಆದರಣೀಯ ಶ್ರೀ ಓಂ ಬಿರ್ಲಾ ಅವರೇ, ರಾಜ್ಯಸಭೆಯ ಉಪಸಭಾಪತಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಹರಿವಂಶ್ ಅವರೇ, ಸನ್ಮಾನ್ಯ ಸಂಸದರೇ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಉನ್ನತ ಜನಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಗಳೇ, ವಿಶೇಷ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳೇ, ಇತರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಹಾನುಭಾವರೇ ಮತ್ತು ನನ್ನ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯ ದೇಶವಾಸಿಗಳೇ, ಪ್ರತಿ ದೇಶದ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಯ ಪಯಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ಕ್ಷಣಗಳು ಹೀಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತವೆ. ಅವು ಎಂದೆಂದಿಗೂ ಅಮರವಾಗಿರುತ್ತವೆ. ಕೆಲವು ದಿನಾಂಕಗಳು ಸಮಯದ ಹಣೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಇತಿಹಾಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಳಿಸಲಾಗದ ಹಸ್ತಾಕ್ಷರವಾಗಿ ಪರಿಣಮಿಸುತ್ತವೆ. ಇಂದು 2023 ಮೇ 28 ಈ ದಿನವೂ ಸಹ ಇಂತಹದ್ದೇ ಶುಭ ಸಮಯವಾಗಿದೆ. ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯ ಪಡೆದು
माननीय लोकसभा अध्यक्ष ओम बिर्ला जी, राज्यसभेचे उपसभापती हरिवंश जी, माननीय संसद वांगडी, सगळे वरिष्ठ प्रतिनिधी, खाशेले सोयरे, हेर सगळे मानेस्त आणि म्हज्या प्रिय देशवासियांनो, देशाच्या उदरगतीच्या प्रवासात कांय खीण असतात जे सदां खातीर अमर जातात. कांय तारखां काळा मुखार इतिहासाची अविस्मरणीय स्वाक्षरी जातात. आयज 28 मे 2023 हो असोच शुभ दीस. स्वातंत्र्याचे 75वें वर्स मनयतना राष्ट्र अमृत
से निजी क्षेत्र के साथ बढ़ी हुई भागीदारी से रक्षा निर्यात में पर्याप्त वृद्धि हुई है.
न हम किसी से आंख झुका करके बात करेंगे, न ही हम आंख उठा करके बात करेंगे. हम आंख मिला करके बात करेंगे.
मैं इस गरिमामयी सदन को अरुणाचल प्रदेश के तवांग सेक्टर में हमारी सीमा पर 9 दिसंबर 2022 को हुई एक घटना के बारे में अवगत कराना चाहूंगा.
प्रधानमंत्री और रक्षा मंत्री की बातों से एक बात तो दुनिया साफ समझ गई है कि भारत की सोच अब कहां है. इसे संयोग कहें या आत्मविश्वास, जिसके बदौलत न सिर्फ हमने देश के ऊपर आए हर संकट का सामना किया है, बल्कि विश्व में खुद को विश्व गुरु बनाने के मुहावरे को भी सच कर दिखाया है.
नमस्कार, स्वागत है आपका हमारी इस खास पेशकश में. आपके साथ मैं हूं प्रांजलि सिंह. डिफेंस सेक्टर यानी कि रक्षा क्षेत्र एक ऐसा स्ट्रेटेजिक सेक्टर है जो किसी भी सरकार की प्राथमिकता होती है। ये सेक्टर तमाम और भी कारणों से काफी अहम होता है। देश को बाहरी हमलों से बचाना और बाकी सेक्टर्स को विकास के लिए सुरक्षित माहौल देना भी, इसके लिए डिफेंस सेक्टर का मजबूत और प्रभावी होना बेहद जरूरी है। तो आज हम बात करने जा रहे हैं उन महत्वपूर्ण पहलुओं के बारे में जो बीते 9 वर्षों में रक्षा क्षेत्र को नए आयाम दे गए, एक नए और आत्मनिर्भर भारत की जमीन तैयार कर गए।
साल 2014 से 2023 के बीच भारत ने रक्षा क्षेत्र पर कितना ध्यान दिया, कितना आधुनिकीकरण हुआ, कितने रिफॉर्म्स हुए, कितना निवेश आया, इस पर आज हम चर्चा करेंगे। 21वीं सदी का नया भारत नए मौके और नई जमीन का स्वागत कर रहा है। हम सुधारों के रास्ते पर हर क्षेत्र में क्रांति ला रहे हैं। डिफेंस सेक्टर इस फेहरिस्त में काफी ऊपर है। देश के रक्षा निर्यात में जबरदस्त इजाफा हुआ है और ये अब तक के उच्चतम स्तर पर पहुंच गया है। पिछले 9 वर्षों में देश का रक्षा निर्यात रिकॉर्ड 23 गुना बढ़ा है। वित्त वर्ष 2013-14 में भारत का रक्षा निर्यात तकरीबन 686 करोड़ रुपए था। ये वित्त वर्ष 2022-23 में बढ़कर तकरीबन 16,000 करोड़ रुपए तक पहुंच गया है। आंकड़े बताते हैं कि वैश्विक स्तर पर भारत रक्षा सामग्री निर्माण में अपनी भूमिका लगातार बढ़ा रहा है। फिलहाल भारत 85 से अधिक देशों को रक्षा सामग्री का निर्यात कर रहा है।
हमने सिर्फ डिफेंस का बजट ही नहीं बढ़ाया है, ये बजट देश में ही डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इकोसिस्टम के विकास में भी काम आए, ये भी सुनिश्चित किया है। रक्षा उपकरणों की खरीद के लिए तय बजट का बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा आज भारतीय कंपनियों से खरीद में ही लग रहा है।
हमारा लक्ष्य है कि 2024 से 25 तक हम निर्यात के इस आंकड़े को $1.5 अरब से बढ़ाकर $5 अरब तक ले जाएंगे। रक्षा के क्षेत्र में किए गए प्रयास भारत के लिए एक लॉन्च पैड की तरह काम करेंगे। अब यहाँ से भारत दुनिया के सबसे बड़े रक्षा उत्पादन वाले देशों में शामिल होने के लिए तेजी से कदम बढ़ाएगा। इसमें हमारे निजी क्षेत्र और निवेशकों की महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका रहने वाली है। जब कोई देश नई सोच, नए दृष्टिकोण के साथ आगे बढ़ता है तो उसकी व्यवस्था भी नई सोच के हिसाब से ढलने लगती है। हमारा भारत भी उसी ओर अग्रसर है।
बीते कुछ सालों में मोदी सरकार का जोर आत्मनिर्भर भारत की बुनावट पर रहा है। तकरीबन हर क्षेत्र में देश को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने की कोशिश की जा रही है। खास करके रक्षा क्षेत्र को, सेना के तीनों अंगों को हाईटेक बनाने के लिए ज्यादातर हार्डवेयर और सॉफ्टवेयर अब देश में ही बन रहे हैं। रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट पर खासा ध्यान दिया जा रहा है ताकि उन्नत फाइटर जेट, ड्रोन, जंगी जहाज, मिसाइल बनाया जा सके। तो चलिए जानते हैं बीते 9 सालों में तीनों सेनाओं में कितना कुछ बदला है। लेकिन सबसे पहले बात भारतीय थल सेना की।
भारतीय सेना हर चुनौती का सामना करने के लिए एक युवा, आधुनिक, तकनीकी रूप से सक्षम, शक्तिशाली और तत्पर सेना के रूप में परिवर्तित हो रही है। इस लक्ष्य को स्वरूप दे रहे हैं भारतीय सेना के परिवर्तन के 5 स्तंभ।
नवीनीकरण, आधुनिकीकरण और मेक इन इंडिया से टेक्नोलॉजिकली सक्षम होती सेना आज बन रही है आत्मनिर्भर भारत की पहचान।
आपको याद होगा कि प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने लाल किले से सीडीएस की घोषणा की थी, जिनकी नियुक्ति भी जल्द ही हो गई थी। पिछले 9 वर्षों में सरकार का ये फैसला एक बड़े बदलाव को लेकर आ रहा था। चीन और अमेरिका जैसे देशों में सीडीएस ही सरकार का मिलिट्री एडवाइजर होता है। सीडीएस सबके ऑपरेशंस और युद्ध की जिम्मेदारी संभालता है। इसलिए सरकार ने सोच समझकर समय से इस मुद्दे पर फैसला लिया था।
अगर दुनिया भर की बड़ी मिलिट्री सुपर पावर्स की बात करें तो वो सब इंटीग्रेटेड हैं, वहाँ पर थिएटर कमांड्स में काम करते हैं। अभी हमारी जो सेनाओं की जो कमांड्स हैं वो अलग है, थल सेना की अपनी अलग कमांड्स है, साथ है उसी तरह से एयरफोर्स की। लेकिन जो प्रधानमंत्री है उन्होंने साफ कर दिया था कि अब हमें जो आगे बढ़ना होगा, हमें थिएटर कमांड की तरफ बढ़ना होगा। और उस थिएटर कमांड की जो पहला जो स्टेप होता है वो CDS होता है, जब तक कि आपका एक ऐसा मिलिट्री कमांडर नहीं होगा जो तीनों सेनाओं के सबसे ऊपर काम करेगा, यानी कि उनका जो ऑपरेशनली जो होगा वो उसको CDS को देखना होगा। तो इसके लिए ही ये CDS यानी चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस स्टाफ की पोस्ट बनाई गई थी। और इस CDS की पोस्ट से क्या होगा कि जो हमारी जो सेनाएं जो अभी अलग अलग काम करती हैं तो उनको इंटीग्रेट होकर काम करना पड़ेगा, जॉइंटनेस जो होगी उसमें बढ़ जाएगी।
रक्षा जगत में मेक इन इंडिया को बढ़ावा देने के लिए ऐसे 101 हार्डवेयर की सूची जारी हुई है जिनके आयात पर अगस्त 2020 में प्रतिबंध लगा दिया गया था और यह फैसला हुआ था कि अब इनका निर्माण देश में ही होगा। ये योजना तेजी से आगे बढ़ रही है जिसका असर भी दिखना शुरू हो चुका है।
रक्षा उत्पादन के क्षेत्र में स्वदेशीकरण और आत्मनिर्भरता बढ़ाने के लक्ष्य में हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। रक्षा मंत्रालय समय समय पर PIL को मंजूरी देता है जिसमें ऐसी रक्षा सामग्री की जानकारी होती है जिसे हम अपने ही देश में बना रहे हैं, जिसके अंतर्गत अब तक रक्षा मंत्रालय 4 PIL जारी कर चुका है। सूची में लाइन रिप्लेसमेंट यूनिट्स और कलपुर्जे शामिल हैं। इस सूची के तहत आने वाले तकरीबन 2500 से ज्यादा उपकरणों का स्वदेशीकरण हो चुका है और आगे भी इसमें तेजी से काम चल रहा है।
मैं भारत की सेनाओं को बधाई दूंगा, उन्होंने 300 से अधिक हथियारों उपकरणों की सूची बनाई है जो मेड इन इंडिया ही होंगे और उनका उपयोग हमारी सेनाएं करेगी। उन चीजों को हम बाहर से नहीं लेंगे। मैं इस निर्णय के लिए तीनों सेनाओं के सभी साथियों को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं।
अब आपको बताते हैं भारत के कई हथियारों की विदेशों में डिमांड के बारे में। भारत के कई हथियारों की देशों से खूब डिमांड आ रही है, जैसे कि ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल, आकाश मिसाइल, डॉर्नियर 228, 155 mm एडवांस्ड आर्टिलरी गन्स, आर्म्ड व्हीकल्स और पिनाका रॉकेट की दुनिया के काफी देशों में डिमांड है। भारत के LCA तेजस, लाइट कॉम्बैट हेलीकॉप्टर और एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर की मांग भी कई देशों में बढ़ रही है।
ऐसे प्रयासों का परिणाम अब देखने लगा है। बीते 4-5 सालों में हमारा डिफेंस इंपोर्ट लगभग 21% कम हुआ है, इतने कम समय में। और ये नहीं कि हमने पैसे बचाने के लिए कम किया है, हमने हमारे यहां उसका ऑल्टरनेट दिया है। आज हम सबसे बड़े डिफेंस इंपोर्टर के बजाय एक बड़े एक्सपोर्टर की तरह तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं।
बॉर्डर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की बात करें तो सीमा सड़क संगठन यानी कि BRO ने कुछ योजनाओं को डेडलाइन से पहले तैयार कर दिया है। इनमें लेह मनाली राजमार्ग पर रोहतांग में 10,000 फीट से ऊपर बनी विश्व की सबसे लंबी अटल टनल शामिल है। अटल टनल आधुनिक इंजीनियरिंग का एक शानदार नमूना है।
देखिए, बॉर्डर रोड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने पिछले 7-8 साल में बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, क्योंकि हमारा जो इस वक्त जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट जो चल रहा है वो LAC पर चल रहा है, चाइना के साथ चल रहा है। तो चाइना ने अपना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर तो 1962 के बाद से ही उसने बहुत ज़्यादा किया, लेकिन हम लोगों की कहीं ना कहीं वो पॉलिसी थी कि हम अपना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बॉर्डर पर नहीं करेंगे, डर लगता था। लेकिन पिछले 8-10 साल में बॉर्डर रोड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने, क्योंकि एक पॉलिसी बिल्कुल साफ है कि अब हमें अपना जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट है बिल्कुल चाइना के साथ मिरर जो है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट खड़ा करना है, तो उसमें जो है BRO ने बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है। इस वक्त चाहे फिर वो पूर्वी लद्दाख हो, चाहे फिर वो अरुणाचल प्रदेश हो, सिक्किम हो, यहाँ पर BRO ने जो रोड्स जो तो बनाई हैं ताकि हम लोग लास्ट पोस्ट तक जो है भारतीय सेना अपने टैंक ले जा सके, अपनी मिलिट्री व्हीकल्स ले जा सके। उसके साथ साथ जो एक जो चाहे फिर छावनियाँ हो उनकी, चाहे फिर स्टोरेज हो, एम्यूनिशन हो, इन सब का काम, या एयरफील्ड्स बनानी हो फॉरवर्ड एरिया में, उसके लिए BRO ने बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है।
बीते 9 वर्षों में सशस्त्र बलों में महिलाओं की भागीदारी पर भी काफी जोर दिया गया है। शॉर्ट सर्विस कमीशन यानी एसएससी में महिला अधिकारियों को स्थायी कमीशन देने के लिए भारतीय सेना की 10 धाराएं खोली गईं। इतना ही नहीं, शैक्षणिक सत्र 2020-21 से सभी सैनिक स्कूल छात्राओं के लिए खोल दिए गए हैं। रक्षा क्षेत्र में भारत ने निजी क्षेत्र की भागीदारी को बढ़ावा देने के लिए एफडीआई की सीमा 49% से बढ़ाकर 74% कर दी है। इससे निजी क्षेत्र के साथ बढ़ी हुई भागीदारी से रक्षा निर्यात में पर्याप्त वृद्धि हुई है। रक्षा के क्षेत्र में करियर देश में सबसे प्रतिष्ठित और सम्मानित करियर में से एक माना जाता है। ऐसे युवा जो उत्साह, साहस और चुनौतियों से भरे क्षेत्र में अपना करियर बनाना चाहते हैं, उनके लिए रक्षा क्षेत्र सबसे बेहतर विकल्प है, क्योंकि ये उनकी सारी पेशेवर उम्मीदों की पूर्ति करता है। भारतीय सशस्त्र बल समान रूप से पेशेवर सेवाएं देने वाला भारत का सैन्य बल है, जिसके अंतर्गत भारतीय सेना, भारतीय वायुसेना, भारतीय नौसेना और भारतीय तट रक्षक बल आते हैं, जिसके अंतर्गत अग्निवीर जैसी योजना भी विकास की ओर एक नई इबारत लिख रही है।
अगर हम लोग देखते हैं प्रधानमंत्री मोदी के जो पिछले 9 साल हैं, इसमें जो अग्निवीर है या अग्निपथ स्कीम जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं, ये एक पैराडाइम शिफ्ट कह सकते हैं ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज में, आर्म फोर्सेज में, यानी कि भारतीय सेना की जो ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज है। इसमें अभी क्या होगा, जो अग्निवीर आएंगे वो 4 साल के लिए आएंगे और 4 साल में उनको ट्रेन किया जाएगा, देखा जाएगा, ट्रेनिंग होगी, उसके साथ साथ उनको ऑपरेशनल एरिया में भी भेजा जाएगा। उनको देखा जाएगा कि कितने लोगों में, मतलब कितने ये अग्निवीर हैं, इनमें फाइटिंग कैपेबिलिटी कितनी है, उसके हिसाब से ही, और कितना स्किल्ड है ये एक सोल्जर के तौर पर। उसमें से 25% जो होंगे वही आगे बढ़ पाएंगे, यानी कि एक सैनिक बन पाएंगे। बाकी जो 75% होंगे वो समाज में वापस, यानी हमारे देश में वापस आ जाएंगे। तो उससे क्या होगा, एक तो हमारे जो सोल्जर्स हैं उनकी फाइटिंग कैपेबिलिटी या जो सोल्जरली क्वालिटीज़ वाले जो होंगे, जो वॉरियर क्वालिटीज़ वाले होंगे, वही आगे जा पाएंगे, सेना में काम कर पाएंगे, हमारे जो सीमाएं होंगी उनकी सुरक्षा करेंगे। और बाकी जो 75% जो होंगे वो भी स्किल्ड जो मैन पावर होगी, जो हमारे देश में वापस आ जाएंगे, वो मेन स्ट्रीम में आ जाएंगे और हमारे मुख्य धारा में जुड़ जाएंगे। वो अपना कोई काम भी कर सकते हैं, कहीं पर कंपनी में भी काम कर सकते हैं, सरकारी नौकरी में भी जा सकते हैं, पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस में जा सकते हैं। इसके अलावा जो अगर वहाँ भी नहीं जा पाए तो पिछले 4 साल में जो उन्होंने सेना में जो उनकी ट्रेनिंग हुई होगी, तो एक डिसिप्लिन जो सिटीजन होगा वो भारत देश को मिल पाएगा। तो ये बहुत अच्छा कदम है अग्निवीर स्कीम, अगर हम लोग मानते हैं आर्म फोर्सेस के लिए।
इन 9 सालों में नौसेना में भी कई बदलाव आए हैं। उपलब्धियों से भरे पलों की बात करें तो वो सीमाओं से परे है। तो आइए जानते हैं कि नौसेना में कितना कुछ बदला है।
सशस्त्र बलों ने संकटग्रस्त देशों की मदद के लिए हाथ बढ़ाया। इस क्रम में भारतीय नौसेना ने 2020-21 के दौरान कई राहत मिशन चलाए, जिसमें खास है वंदे भारत मिशन। इस मिशन के जरिए ईरान, श्रीलंका और मालदीव से फंसे हुए भारतीयों को निकाला गया। आईएनएस एरावत मिशन, प्राकृतिक आपदाओं से प्रभावित सूडान, जिबूती की मदद। भारतीय नौसेना के लिए गौरव करने का वो था जब प्रधानमंत्री ने अपना पहला स्वदेशी एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर विक्रांत देश को समर्पित किया था।
The Navy has made to the top leadership is that we will become Atmanirbhar Navy by 2047. On the 2nd of September, the Vikrant, the first indigenous aircraft carrier, was commissioned at Kochi by our Honorable Prime Minister.
देश में बना शक्तिशाली युद्धपोत आईएनएस मोरमुगाव को 18 दिसंबर 2022 को नौसेना के सुपुर्द किया गया। इस विध्वंसक युद्धपोत को भारतीय नौसेना के वॉरशिप डिजाइन ब्यूरो ने डिजाइन किया है। 2024 तक ये नौसेना को सौंप दिया जाएगा। स्वदेशी एयरक्राफ्ट और युद्धपोत के अलावा समुद्री सरहदों को सुरक्षित रखने के लिए 20 अप्रैल 2022 को स्कॉर्पियन यानी कलवारी क्लास की सबमरीन वागशीर को लॉन्च किया गया।
प्रोजेक्ट 75 की स्कॉर्पियन पनडुब्बी आईएनएस वागशीर ऐसे समय में नेवी में शामिल हुई है जब चीन के साथ सीमा विवाद की घटनाएं बढ़ चुकी हैं। आईएनएस कलवरी, आईएनएस खंडेरी, आईएनएस करंज और आईएनएस वेला इस समय प्रयोग में है, जबकि आईएनएस वागीर के लिए समुद्री परीक्षण चल रहा है, जिसका मकसद भारत की नौसैनिक क्षमताओं को बढ़ावा देना है। और चलिए अब बात करते हैं हम वायुसेना की।
भारतीय वायुसेना अमेरिका, चीन और रूस के बाद दुनिया की चौथी सबसे बड़ी वायुसेना है। इन 9 सालों में भारतीय वायुसेना काफी एडवांस हुई है। इसके साथ ही भारतीय वायुसेना आत्मनिर्भरता पर जोर देने के अपने प्रयासों में भी सफल रही है, जिसका सबसे बड़ा एग्जाम्पल है ब्रह्मोस, जो कि स्वदेश में निर्मित है। भारत ने चिनूक जैसे भारी लिफ्ट हेलीकॉप्टर और अपाचे जैसे हेलीकॉप्टर को अपनी वायुसेना में शामिल किया है। दूसरी ओर आधुनिक राफेल विमान भी भारतीय वायुसेना के बेड़े में शामिल है। HAL और DRDO साथ मिलकर भारतीय वायुसेना के लिए देश में ही उन्नत किस्म के विमान और हेलीकॉप्टर जैसे तेजस, रुद्र, चेतक और हाल ही में प्रचंड का निर्माण कर रहे हैं, जो भारतीय वायुसेना के मेक इन इंडिया विजन और देश की आत्मनिर्भरता को प्रदर्शित करता है।
We have signed a contract for 83 LCA Mark 1As. We are also in the pipeline to get the LCA Mark 2s and the AMCA.
वायुसेना ने जरूरत पड़ने पर बालाकोट एयर स्ट्राइक और सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक जैसे साहसिक कदम के जरिए साबित किया है कि केवल युद्ध की स्थिति ही नहीं बल्कि पीस टाइम में भी देश रक्षा के लिए वो हमेशा सजग है। आज भारतीय वायुसेना की ताकत का अंदाजा केवल लगाया ही नहीं जाता, बल्कि आए दिन उसकी मिसाल भी देखी जा सकती है। यही कारण है कि आज भारत की तरफ किसी की नजर उठाकर देखने की हिम्मत नहीं है। देश ने अपनी तकदीर खुद बनाई है और अपनी सेना की ताकत आत्मनिर्भरता की राह पर चलकर बढ़ाई है।
जिस आत्मनिर्भर भारत का सपना हमने देखा है वो निश्चित तौर से पूरा हो रहा है और उम्मीद है कि आगे आने वाले 25 सालों में हम कह सकेंगे कि भारत हर क्षेत्र में विकसित हो चुका है। और चलिए अंत में हम आपको एक छोटी सी झलकी दिखाना चाह रहे हैं, जिसे प्रधानमंत्री ने खुद अपने सोशल साइट पर शेयर किया है, जिसके जरिए आप कम समय में लेकिन विस्तार से समझ सकेंगे कि रक्षा जगत में बीते 9 सालों में कितना सुधार आया है। आज के लिए इतना ही, आगे भी आप सब देखते रहे संसद टीवी। नमस्कार।
विश्व की आज की स्थिति हमें सिखाती है कि इसका मार्ग एक ही है, आत्मनिर्भर भारत।
आत्मनिर्भर भारत माननीय प्रधानमंत्री के संकल्प को साकार करती
भारत की बढ़ती रक्षा उत्पादन क्षमता, एक नई सोच, एक नई प्रतिबद्धता से अपने आर्म्ड फोर्सेस का आधुनिकीकरण करने के लिए रक्षा उत्पादन के हर क्षेत्र में अग्रसर है। रक्षा उत्पादन को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने के लिए भारत सरकार ने निर्णायक कदम उठाए हैं। स्वदेशी इंडस्ट्री से खरीद को बढ़ावा देने के लिए पिछले 2 वर्षों में 209 आइटम्स को पॉजिटिव इंडिजिनाइजेशन लिस्ट में शामिल करने की बड़ी पहल की है एवं बजट का 64% हिस्सा यानी 75,000 करोड़ सिर्फ स्वदेशी कंपनियों से खरीदने के लिए भी रखा गया है। भारत के स्थान पर अब एक्सपोर्टर बन रहा है। भारत सरकार की इनोवेशन फॉर डिफेंस एक्सीलेंस स्कीम के अथक प्रयास से पिछले 3 सालों में 1000 से भी अधिक स्टार्टअप नई टेक्नोलॉजीज को साकार कर रहे हैं और उनसे ड्रोन्स, एंटी टैंक मिसाइल्स आदि खरीदने की प्रक्रिया शुरू कर दी गई है। जो आइटम पहले इंपोर्ट होते थे, अब जब देश में ही बनने लगे हैं तो उनकी कीमतों में 50 से 80% की कमी हुई है। भारत की उड़ान में अब लाइट यूटिलिटी हेलीकॉप्टर, फाइटर हेलीकॉप्टर शामिल हैं। अब भारत की गणना विश्व के उन चुनिंदा देशों में है जो 4th जनरेशन फाइटर्स, हेलीकॉप्टर्स, एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर्स, सबमरीन्स, मिसाइल्स और एडवांस्ड वेपनरी बनाने में सक्षम है। अपने राष्ट्र बल को आत्मनिर्भर रूप से सशक्त बनाने की ओर देश तेजी से अग्रसर हो रहा है और डिफेंस कॉरिडोर बनाना उसी दिशा में एक अहम कदम है, जिसमें उत्तर प्रदेश की एक अहम भूमिका है। कॉरिडोर बनाने के कुछ ही महीनों में एशिया का सबसे बड़ा डिफेंस एक्सपो डेफ एक्सपो 2020 आयोजित कर विश्व के डिफेंस क्षेत्र को लखनऊ में होस्ट किया। इन सब कदमों से भारत रक्षा उत्पादन में आत्मनिर्भर हो रहा है। नए भारत का उत्साह और प्रगति को देख दुनिया के अनेक देश अब हमारे साथ मिलकर काम करने के इच्छुक हैं। आने वाले वर्षों में यही संकल्प भारत को रक्षा उत्पादन के क्षेत्र में सर्वश्रेष्ठ देशों की पंक्ति में गर्व से खड़ा करेगा और एक बेहतर, संतुलित और संयमित विश्व बनाने में अपना महत्वपूर्ण योगदान देगा।
नमः श्री अतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित् सुख स्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे तापहारिणे। So last time we were reading Swami Vivekananda's lectures from Colombo to Almora, and in that we were reading his reply to the address at Ramnath, and we saw that Swamiji again and again, every lecture when he landed by the ship in India, Indian shores, since that time he has taken up the only single-mindedly he has taken up this task of revitalizing Hinduism, revitalizing Vedantism, revitalizing the Indian heritage and tradition of the Vedanta, of the Rishis. And he is again and again telling that this is the only raison d'etre, means reason for existence of Indian civilization. So why Indian civilization is there? Because this is the reason for existence of Indian civilization, that it should always follow Hinduism. It should always follow the religion of the Vedanta, religion of the Rishis. Why it is so? He explains it again and again in every lecture, that every person has got a temperament, every person has got his own karmic burden, karmic force working behind him. So it is with the nations, Swamiji says. So it is with the civilizations. So it is with the races. So if the Western race has got its own karmic burden, the Western race has its own temperament, then why not have India have its own temperament and karmic force behind it? Why it should leave suddenly this karmic force, karmic burden or temperament, and suddenly jump its track and go into the different track and then just imitate it, which will be disastrous. Because if we see, if we leave our track, just like the train, if it leaves its track, it is called derailed. The train is derailed when it leaves its track. So it is called a derailment of the civilization. It will be called derailment of the society if it leaves its own original track, which is its following for thousands of years. This track, it is not suddenly newly started track. This track, this force has been there working for thousands of years. And that's why we have to understand that we have to keep it up. Now, Swamiji says that spirituality and religion are the only motive power of existence of the Indian people. But now you will say, that means everybody should live his whatever working he is doing, whatever aspirations he has, and everybody should do only spirituality and renunciation. Then he says, no, that will be a mistake. That was never intended. The main motive force would be religion. The main motive force would be renunciation and spirituality. But it will be seen, it should be seen, it must be seen that who is ready for that. So those who are not ready for that, they should be made ready. They should be prepared first. They should not be, everybody should not be forced to follow spirituality and religion and renunciation. So then he is telling that time that it will be better, in that sense, it will be better that those who are not yet ready, even in India, those who are not yet ready for taking up spirituality and renunciation and a full-time aspiring for spiritual ideals, let them let them very carefully, very cautiously learn the Western techniques, learn the Western technology, learn the Western science, but very cautiously, Swamiji says. Why he says cautiously? Because he says that I'm sorry to say that most of the examples one meets nowadays of men who have imbibed the Western ideas are more or less failures. What he is telling? That I'm sorry to say, what I see, you see, Swamiji's time itself, this was in vogue. This Western imitation, everything Western is God, and everything Indian is filth. That was, during Swamiji time also it had taken up. And he is a man of Calcutta. Calcutta was the very leading city and people and culture which was taking up British ideals with full enthusiasm. So he was coming from that part of the country wherein Britishers have major influence. They have almost like brainwashed the Calcutta people. Calcutta people want to think that if we imitate British, if we eat like British, if we talk like British, we will call civilized people. Will be called something great. So he is coming from that Calcutta. He is born and brought up in that Calcutta, and he himself was brought up and schooled in missionary school. So all these things he has seen. And he has also in his childhood probably had fought against his own this temptation of following Western ideas. But for meeting with Sri Ramakrishna, but for his acquaintance, his discipleship under Sri Ramakrishna, he would probably also turn another Babu. That they say, Calcutta Babu. Means what? Babus are behaving like British, they are imitating British ideals. So he would have probably turned into another Babu of Calcutta. But because he met Sri Ramakrishna and when his life was entirely transformed, then he understood completely a village person of Kamanpukur who has absolutely no exposure to Western education. He never joined any school. Forget about missionary school, he never joined even Indian school. That kind of person is the greatest person he saw on the planet, who has solution to all the problems of life. Whatever question he throws at him, he has a solution, Sri Ramakrishna. And then when he saw, and then when he compared, when he went outside now for preaching of Vedanta to America, when he came back from there, now when he's speaking, he has already come back from the Western countries, seeing America, Europe. Now he has all the more conviction now. Previously, he had only seen Sri Ramakrishna as the ideal of Indian man, Indian civilization, as a representative of all the thousands of years of knowledge of the rishis. He saw a village person, a village man, as a representative of our thousands of years of spiritual traditions. He is having in his own one personality. And that person he saw, and when he went out in the Western country and he compared notes with what he learned under Sri Ramakrishna, he understood, oh, what are we missing and what they are missing. This, when he is coming back, again he is telling us, see, my fellow Indian people, my brothers, see, don't please get allured by the Western ideas. That is what his continuously he is trying to put his point. And now then we'll proceed in the next paragraph where Swami says, there are two great obstacles on our path in India. The Scylla of old orthodoxy and the Charybdis of modern European civilization. Of these two, I vote for the old orthodoxy and not for the Europeanized system. For the old orthodox man may be ignorant, he may be crude, but he is a man. He has a faith, he has strength, he stands on his own feet. While the Europeanized man has no backbone, he is a mass of heterogeneous ideas picked up at random from every source. And these ideas are unassimilated, undigested, unharmonized. He does not stand on his own feet, Europeanized man. He does not stand on his own feet and his head is turning round and round, Swami is telling. Where is the motive power of his work? In a few patronizing pats from the English people. His schemes of reforms, his vehement vituperations against the evils of certain social customs have as the mainspring some European patronage. So this we see, whatever words Swamiji is telling, even now, in fact, now they are more relatable. They are more relevant now. Every word of it is more relevant. How? You see what he is saying? What are the two great obstacles? One side, our civilization is orthodox people, our Indian orthodoxy. One side is that which is being despised, which is being looked down upon, as it is something old, which is irrelevant. And on the other side, what is this? Modern European civilization. So Swamiji calls both what? Scylla and Charybdis of the Greek mythology. What is that? The story is what we say is the ship is going, a boat is going. On one side, it has got a sinkhole in which the ship will be sunk if it goes that side. And on this side, it has got some cave in which if it enters, it will be lost in the ocean. That is some Greek mythological stories there. So in our Indian, these things also parallels are there. That if I go this side, there is a fire. And if this side is a frying pan, they say, from frying pan to fire. So this side is the fire of orthodoxy. And that side, I see the frying pan of a modern European civilization. So what is this fire and frying pan? So he is explaining. But if I have to choose, now I have no other options. I have only two paths. One side I am seeing fire. I have to jump into the fire. Or another side, I have to burn it on the frying pan. What I will choose? Somebody says, I will choose this fire of orthodoxy, Indian way. Why? He explains. Why? Because he says that Indian orthodox man is at least he is self-made man. At least he is standing on fire. His strong rooting of thousands of years of traditions and systems that are time-tested. At least whatever you call it orthodox, but he has been following his fathers, his forefathers, his hundreds of generations have been following that. What you call, what you are despising, what you are looking down upon, that orthodoxy has been standing for thousands of years, and it has got that strength. But what is European and modern European civilization? It is every day it changes. Every day they have new thought process. Every day they have new thing to jump onto. So he is telling, I won't go for it. They are absolutely unreliable. I cannot rely upon them. Though this is a fire, this orthodoxy, this is a fire. Because why it is a fire? Because it is becoming more and more sometimes this challenge of this reconciling it with our present life. The Indian orthodoxy, why Swamiji is calling fire? Because it is difficult to reconcile it with our present life. It is difficult to reconcile it and to make it palatable for the modern changing context of global civilization. So that's why it is a fire. It will be very tough. It will be very challenging if we have to stick to that orthodoxy. That's why he's calling it is another challenge. But on this side, this challenge I won't take. This modern European civilization, the acceptance of modern European ideas, I won't take. Because why? He's telling, see, that he is a mass of heterogeneous ideas. A European person is a mass of heterogeneous ideas picked up at random from every source. He is just like a Wikipedia. Oh, his knowledge is from Wikipedia. Everything he reads from Wikipedia, whatever, and he has no in-depth knowledge of anything. He just knows of every system. Whatever he just Googles it, and okay, this means like this. This means like this. He sees all the tidbits of every knowledge and he relies upon them. And he jumps at whatever is convenient to him. Today he jumps at one thing, tomorrow he jumps at another thing. So he is the most unreliable person. I cannot rely upon him. Right? Next he says. And these ideas are unassimilated, undigested, unharmonized. Because every day you are changing ideas. Every day you are changing ships. So how am I going to believe that you have assimilated one thing? You have digested one thing, you have harmonized it into your system, in your thought, in your brain, completely adjusting it. He does not stand on his own feet, and his head is turning round and round. This Europeanized person is completely confused person, because he doesn't believe in one system of thought. He doesn't follow it whole life. He won't follow. He will follow 10 days, he will follow one system, one acharya, one guru, he will go to for 10 days, he will get bored. Then he will change another acharya. One university, he will learn, I am done in Harvard one course, then he will go to Cambridge, and then he will come to our Varanasi University, then he will again go to some Chinese university. He will want to go to every university and boast himself that, oh, see, I have degrees and graduations of this, so much of a scholarship of these things. But his scholarship and his scholarly this thing is what? Only a confused head which is moving around and around, which doesn't give. See, so many scholars they are saying in the Western, so many it is Harvard scholar, Cambridge scholar, Oxford scholar, Princeton scholar. These scholars are there. What they have done? What they have contributed to the world? Only confusion. They have not done anything. But what our Shankaracharya has done, what our Ramanujacharya has done, no confusion at all. They are so deeply rooted in what they want to speak, what they want to preach to world. They are not confused people. They don't want to preach their scholarship on this thing. They are just believers, and their whole life they have preached it, they have followed it. Not just going from one university in one PhD from another to another PhD, not like just jumping ships. They are harmonized people. They are strong people. They are orthodox. Shankaracharya was orthodox. Ramanuja was orthodox. Everybody was of that line was orthodox. But Swami says, I love their orthodoxy. Though they are orthodox, they are most relevant to me. They are most near to me because they are the people who are strong, who are standing on their own feet. Whatever they may be, you may be calling them old, 1,000-year-old, but still they are standing. Nobody can challenge them. No Harvard scholar can come and challenge Shankaracharya. No Cambridge or Princeton or any scholar can come and challenge Ramanujacharya. Because what he lived, that he preached, that he studied, with that idea only he died. Entire life is soaked in that idea. So nobody can challenge it. Nobody can stand in front of Shankaracharya or Ramanujacharya and so on and so forth. But these Europeanized people, they cannot even stand. Anybody can just drive them away. With one blow of your air mouth, a Europeanized person can be blown away. A Europeanized scholar can be blown away by one Indian person, one Indian acharya. He can just simply blow him away. Because one Indian acharya, he will stand on his own feet. Though he's an orthodox man, he knows what his traditions are. He knows what his beliefs are. He knows what his history is. He knows what his culture is. And he is rooted in that culture. But a Europeanized person has no culture at all. He has no culture to belong to. He has no home to belong. He has no ancestry to belong to. What Swami says, their ancestry, their belonging is to some pirates. Pirates of the seas, they belong to, the Europeans. They belong to looters and dacoits. They say, I belong to, we are the race of such and such pirate of the Scandinavian seas and English seas or French seas or whatever. But what? Indian seas? I am the descendant of a rishi. I am the descendant of Vashishta. I am the descendant of Vishwamitra. Somebody is descendant of Atri. Somebody is descendant of Agastya. Like this, they say. Oh, who were they? They were the hermits. They were the most orthodox people living in one hermitage or studying the Vedas, teaching Sanskrit, these things, verses, and pursuing knowledge and preaching knowledge of Vedanta. These were the people whom we say our belonging to. So those people, they don't have any belonging. They cannot stand on their own feet and tell, yes, we belong to somebody who had 2,000 years before or 3,000 years before he had told such and such things. Nobody is there in Western civilization. Absolutely nobody that they can say, we belong to him. Nobody can say. So this is what Swamiji say, whatever my orthodox man is, but I will bank upon him. Then he says, see how much relevant today's everything is. He does not stand on his own feet. His head is turning round and round. Where is the motive power of his work? In a few patronizing pats from the English people. So what he does, his whole strength is coming from whom? Somebody is backing him. Some money, power. Some big corporate organization is telling him, don't worry, you shout, we will give you money, whatever you want. So that is how his shouting power is coming from whom? Somebody is funding him. From backside. Who is funding? Some European patronage is there. Oh, don't worry. You keep on printing the newspapers and keep on shouting and go on preaching your ideas from village to village, and you erect big buildings and institutions and put big banners of your own name, your own culture and your country, and you go around the world and force yourself. And what is the strength? Because of their patronage. They are telling you, we will supply you all the funds. Don't worry. Whatever funds you need, we will supply. So what they have? The power of commerce. They have so much money. And with the power of that money, they can convert the entire world. They don't have any standing. They don't have any thought. They don't have any culture. But what is they have? They have this patronage of big establishments, empires, money-related empires, corporate empires. So what? They are running the whole show in the entire world. They are dominating. In this we see now also. What we see Indian people also, so much they are fighting against Hinduism, Vedanta, traditions, everything. Where from, if you dig it, if you go to the root of that, where from this, they are getting funding from America. They are getting the whole shouts are there. Just to remove the funding, just to remove their strength, then they will just like a balloon, like a prick balloon, they will be, their whole air will go out. They will cannot stand on their own feet. These people. So, the Swamiji is saying, I will not bank on those people. I will not believe those people. What he says, why are some of our customs called evils? These people, because of they have money, they say, what? Hindus, they are barbaric people. They don't know. They will worship trees. They'll worship stones. They'll worship whatever they want. They are aboriginals. They are tribals. Like this, they are dead. And they are evil people. Whatever they will, their customs, what their customs are? Throwing flowers at some stone and so on and so forth, they will make fun of. So they are calling this evil because the Europeans say so. Because this European, some corporate giant is funding and he's telling, hey, you just shut them off. You just tell them that they are all fools. They are all evils. They are stupid. Then what? This person has so much money. With money, he converts people. He says, Ari, you are fools. You are idiots. You listen to me. And this is what has been happening. Not only now. This has been happening for the last 100, 200 years. This continuous onslaught is going on. And as Swamiji says, that is about the reason he gives. I would not submit to that. Stand and die in your own strength, Swamiji says. Next is very important passage. This should be like a mantra we have to put in our bowls. Swamiji says, what he says, stand and die in your own strength. If there is any sin in the world, it is weakness. Avoid all weakness, for weakness is sin. Weakness is death. So this words of Swamiji should be put in the bold letters in front of our walls. Whenever we get up in the morning, first we should read this. And we should understand, stand and die in your own strength. I will not copy somebody. I will not imitate somebody because he just comes and with some bundle of notes or something else, some nice dress, or some fair complexion or some English language he's speaking. So, he is good. He is coming from America or Europe. No, better to die in your own strength. Don't die on this strength. It will be a most miserable death. It will be the most, pathetic death it will. Why? Because when you die, you will not have your own ground to die on. You will be dying on something which is dangling, which is flimsy, which is shaking. Better to die on a very firm ground. When you lay down on your body, you will have a very firm thousands of years of standing ground beneath you. So better to die in that. Because whatever it is, my ground may not be that well kept like you. It may not be polished tiles like you. It may not be having the imported carpet like you. But whatever it is my ground. This ground is sanctified by my forefathers. This ground is sanctified by my rishis. This ground is sanctified by my great seers and my great traditional people, great cultured people. So whatever this ground is, I will better choose to die on this ground. Though it may be looking dirty, but I will choose. Rather than dying on your polished tiles and those carpets, I would not choose to die. Because that death will be very miserable for me. I will not find anything any strong holding on that for my body to keep it on that, to lay down upon it. So this is what Swamiji's interpretation is. So what he says then next, these unbalanced creatures are not yet formed into distinct personalities. What are we to call them? Men, women or animals? These unbalanced people. They do believe today something, tomorrow they believe something else. They are jumping ships, they are jumping their parties. So such people are what we should call them, men, women or animals? I won't be able to call them anything, these personalities. They have not yet formed distinct personalities. They are still hazy, they are still confused. They should form a distinct personality. They should have a distinct character of their own, which has been formed out of the struggles of lives and lives. Every life they have struggled to achieve that goal. They might have led their life in that. They could not achieve it. They could not fulfill it. But okay, no problem. Again I will be born. Again I will take up the same idea. Again I will go ahead with that ideal. Again I may fall down. Again I may not reach that, realize it. Again I will be born. Again I will. So like this distinct personality is formed. If life by life, birth by birth, you are following, you are pursuing one ideal, then what you will? You will become a giant like a Buddha. You will become a giant, distinct personality like Buddha, Shankara, Ramananda. But otherwise, you will be just some, so to speak, scholar, paid scholar of some university. That's all you will be. You have no existence, you have no cottage, you have no standing, you have no strength. Like this, Swamiji says, I won't believe on such people. While those, on the contrary, while those old orthodox people were staunch and were men, see, Swamiji is calling them men. They are the real men because they are standing their ground. Come what may, we will not give up. Somebody pays us $1,000 and asks us to change our name. Nothing doing. I will die poor. I will die hungry. I will die thirsty. Nothing doing. I won't care about it. I am very happy to die. If I have to die hungry, if I have to die poor, I won't care absolutely. But somebody is giving me some 1,000 rupees and telling me, Arey, you change your name, change your cloth and put your different this thing, that you change your ideal, and then I will give you good home, I'll give you good name, and the job also I will give. Then that Swamiji says, I won't call that person any distinct personality. He is a man of no standing. But what are these Orthodox people? They lived poor, Orthodox people. Their whole life they struggled to follow one ideal, and they kept on holding to it. Those Vedic ideals. They kept on holding it. Nobody was there along with them to support them. Financially, no support. What financial support do we give? Even now, for that matter, those people who are holding on to those Vedas, what support they get? Nothing. They will not get money. They will not get reputation. They will not get anything in society. Society will tell them something. Oh, Orthodox. He's an Orthodox person. He's a backward person. He will get only abuses, but still he's not leaving. He's ready to die, taking that abuses. Swamiji says, he is a man, he is something. He has some standing, strength. So Swamiji says, there are still some excellent examples. And now Swamiji is praising the Raja of Ramnath. The one I want to present before you now is your Raja of Ramnath. So this your Raja of Ramnath, see, he is holding on to this orthodoxy. He is holding on to this Indian culture. And that is why he is so much encouraging it. Here you have a man than whom there is no more zealous a Hindu throughout the length and breadth of this land. Here you have a prince than whom there is no prince in this land better informed in all affairs, both oriental and occidental, who takes from every nation whatever he can that is good. So he takes, he is very enlightened person. He takes from every nation what is good, but he doesn't leave his orthodoxy. He doesn't leave his own faith. That is what he's praising Raja of Ramnath, because he is hosting that whole congregation. And he welcomed Swamiji. And he had encouraged Swamiji to go to West and preach Hinduism. So it was Swamiji's gratitude, expression of gratitude to this Raja of Ramnath. Then Swamiji says, who takes from every nation whatever he can that is good. Then he says, learn good knowledge. He's quoting Manu now, Manusmriti, Swamiji is quoting. Learn good knowledge with all devotion from the lowest caste. Manu is saying this. Learn the way to freedom, even if it comes from a pariah or pariah, by serving him. If a woman is a jewel, take her in marriage, even if she comes from a low family of the lowest caste. Such is the law laid down by our great and peerless legislator, the divine Manu. So Swami is telling, see, even Manusmriti, the Manu also was so great. His laws were so great. What they are saying? What exactly we should hold on to? That he said, learn good knowledge with all devotion from the lowest caste. If it is coming from a person of lowest caste, people were so liberal. Only now people have become narrow-minded because of this same Europeanizing. Everything is because of European ideas, accepting blindly what we became. We were much more liberals. See, this Manu was so liberal. But now he will be quoted, he will be misquoted and told, your Manu was like this, he told like this, that's why you are all irrelevant. So entire misquoting is going on. Because what? European patronage. Even now it is there. Even now, because the funding is coming from America and Europe, some Hindu by name only, he will rise and tell, oh, Manusmritis are all bogus. Some person of some caste will come and so the Manu has told against our caste. Manu was always despising our caste, or he was against lower caste. Where is he against lower caste? He is telling to all the caste people that go and learn. If some lower caste person has a good knowledge, learn it with all devotion, he is telling. Be devoted to that person and learn it at his feet. That is what Manu is telling. What Manu is telling? Learn the way to freedom, even if it comes from a pariah. The very sweeper, if he comes, he teaches you the knowledge of liberation, how to attain liberation, then sit at his feet and attain it. The Manu is telling this. And now then what is he telling next? If a woman is a jewel, take her in marriage even if she comes from a low family of the lowest caste, he is telling. So Manu had told that if some woman is there who has a great character, she is a great woman of great character and qualities, then you should not look at her caste. That is what laws of Manus were. And Swamiji is quoting them. This is true, Swamiji is saying. Stand on your own feet and assimilate what you can. Learn from every nation. Take what is of use to you. But remember that as Hindus, everything else must be subordinated to our own national ideals. Each man has a mission in life, which is the result of all his infinite past karma. Each of you was born as a splendid heritage, which is the whole of the infinite past life of your glorious nation. Millions of your ancestors are watching, as it were, every action of yours, so be alert. They are all watching, because they have molded you. They have created you, your ancestors, and thousands of years they have been molding you into this, and they are watching you from above. Swamiji is telling, as if they are expecting you to carry forward their legacy. All those ancestors, all those forefathers, all those rishis are looking at you from above. Oh, my children, what are you doing? You are spoiling our own ideals. We have been so closely holding those ideals for ages to our bosom. With closely, we have been embracing these ideas for thousands of years. And you are just because some Babu comes from European jacketed person comes and he tells you, you are all fools. You immediately believe it, that you are all fools. And whatever you are following is a wrong thing. Oh, they are telling from above, please, they are expecting you not to leave this legacy, but to stand on your own strength and die in your own strength. They will be happy. They will be happy if you die carrying forward their legacy. If you die poor, they will be happy. If you die miserable because of not having any support, but you are carrying forward their flag, they will be very happy. Oh, at least one child of mine is there, one descendant of mine is there who stood to what I preached, to what I lived. They will be very happy and they will bless you. Don't worry. So Swamiji is telling Hindus, see, please wake up now. See, how much you will imitate, how long you will imitate others. So Bhagavad Gita also Bhagavan says to Sri Krishna, Paradharmo bhayava, Swadharme nidanam shreya. Exactly that is what Swami is saying. Swadharme nidanam shreya. Whatever your dharma is, whatever your religion is, whatever your tradition is, whatever your culture is, better to die in it. Nidanam shreya. This is not told by Swamiji, but this is told by Bhagavan thousands of years back on the battlefield to Arjuna. That Arjuna, don't get swayed by some ideals that have been presented by Kauravas or that have been presented by your other things. You stick to your guns. You stick to your dharma. Don't get confused. Oh, that my Acharya Dronacharya is there against me. My Bhishmacharya, my great Parampitama is there in front of me. Don't get confused. You stick to your culture. You stick to your tradition. You stick to your this thing, dharma. What is your dharma? You will have to fight this righteous war. So don't think because Dronacharya is on that side, their side is righteous. Because Bhishmacharya is on their side, probably they are righteous and you are getting confused. Don't get confused. Stop, believe in yourself that what you are doing, what you are fighting has been the very urgent and important cause, and you stick to your side. So this is what Swami is telling. The same problems are coming. Humanity is always thousands of years. It suffers with the same problem, the confusion. It cannot understand what should I follow, what is my ideal. Always brain confuses you. It tempts you. It will show so many people, so many things in front of you. And today you want to go with one person. Tomorrow, and after going with that person, tomorrow you realize that person is a useless person. Then tomorrow you want to go with another person. Then tomorrow, after going with that person, you realize that person also useless person. Then you go third day and you want to go with another person. This way, you are just going from one person to following one idea from another idea, and you are getting confused. You are wasting your life. But what is told in the scriptures? That believe first. First, work out what is exactly your tradition, what is exactly your legacy, and then understand it properly, and then stick to it. Come what may. Don't get confused. Don't get swayed. And then you fight this war. And even if Bhagavan is telling to Arjuna, even if you die, Arjuna, you will attain to heavens. And if you win, if you live and win this war, you will enjoy the earth. Because if you win this war of cultures, war of religion, your religion has to be stuck to. If you win this war, you will enjoy. Because you have won now, your religion only will survive, your culture will only survive on this earth. So you will nicely enjoy the fruits of that, sweet fruits of that struggle, battle. But if you die, what will happen? Because you died for your own legacy, protecting it. Wherever, even if you died miserable, don't worry, Arjuna. Even if you die like that, but you will attain to Swarga. Hatova prapsese Swargam, jitva ma bhoksese mahim, tasmad uttishta kaunteya, yuddhaya krita nishchaya. That's what Bhagavan is telling Arjuna. The same thing Swami is telling. Nothing, no change. Only Swami is telling in English, Bhagavan told in Sanskrit. That is the only difference. So what Swami is telling, the same thing. But remember that as Hindus, everything else must be subordinated to our own national ideals. Each man has a mission in life, which is the result of all his infinite past karma. Each of you was born with a splendid heritage, which is the whole of the infinite past life of your glorious nation. Millions of your ancestors are watching, as it were, every action of yours. So be alert, he's saying. And what is the mission with which every Hindu child is born? Have you not read the proud declaration of Manu regarding the Brahmin, where he says that the birth of the Brahmin is for the protection of the treasury of religion. I should say that that is the mission not only of the Brahmin, but of every child, whether boy or girl, who is born in this blessed land. What is that mission? What is the single-minded mission he should be? For the protection of the treasury of religion, Swami says. That Manu had given this mission. Manu quoted this mission only for the Brahmin. But what Swami says, no. In those days, only Brahmin was assigned this duty by Manu to protect the treasury of religion. But now I assign this duty to every Hindu child. Be a boy or girl, I assign this duty to you all. Oh, Hindus, I assign this duty, protect your religion. This is what Swamiji is telling. Now Manu had told this thing because that time it was not necessary to give this duty to everybody. That was sufficient those days, that Brahmin should protect the treasury of religion. But now everybody is necessary to take this up because the times are much worse than those times of Manu's times. So this Swamiji is telling. So whether boy or girl who is born in this blessed land for the protection of the treasury of religion, and every other problem in life must be subordinated to that one principal theme. So this, what we should do? One principal theme, one national theme is what? Protection of Hindu religion. That is the national theme. That is the national ideal Swamiji gives us, all of us. And subordinate everything. If you hold on to that one ideal, whether you are a sannyasi or a householder or a vanaprasthi or a brahmachari or anything, you are in your walk of life, your only one ideal, one national theme, one central theme should be to protect Hindu religion. And subordinate it with what? Other things. That you may do some commerce, you may do some living business, you may do some other works. You may learn some European techniques, science and technology. That is no problem. But that will be subordinated to this one national ideal of Hindu life, living Hindu life. First live Hindu life. And then whatever you want, you learn European science and technology. Whatever businesses you want to learn there, you do. But after being Hindu, a staunch Hindu, a traditional Hindu, an orthodox Hindu, if you become like that, and then you can you invite some Western ideas, you execute some Western techniques, technology, no problem, Swami is saying. Subordinated. The central highest this thing is what goal is that pursuing Hindu ideal. And the subordinate ideals, by the way ideals, we say, oh, by the way, if it happens, I will like to do that. So by the by, if it is possible, then pursue European technology, Western technology and science. But first your duty as a national life, as a Hindu, what is your duty? Is to stick to your orthodoxy. That is also the law of harmony in music, Swami says. There may be a nation whose theme of life is political supremacy. Religion and everything else must become subordinate to that one great theme of its life. There may be a nation who have been pursuing political ideals for thousands of years. So for them, I will say, yes, you please don't come to religion and spirituality as a mainstream. You take it as a subordinate. So you also may follow religion and spirituality, but by the by you follow. But for other nation like us, he says. But here is another nation whose great theme of life is spirituality and renunciation, whose one watchword is that this world is all vanity and the delusion of 3 days. And everything else, whether science or knowledge, enjoyments or powers, wealth, name or fame, must be subordinated to that one theme. The secret of a true Hindu's character lies in the subordination of his knowledge of European sciences and learning, of his wealth, position and name, to that one principal theme which is inborn in every Hindu child, the spirituality and purity of the race. So he is telling, subordination of knowledge of European science and learning. He is not denying it. He is not telling them, hey, don't go to that. They are Blake Charles. Don't cross the oceans. So this Swamiji is not telling. He definitely tell. Do this. Definitely imbibe all those things, but not as a main thing, but as a subordinate thing. And then what he says, therefore, between these two, the case of the orthodox man who has the whole of that life spring of the race, spirituality, and the other man whose hands are full of Western imitation jewels, but has no hold on the life-giving principle, spirituality. Of these, I do not doubt that everyone here will agree that we should choose the first, the orthodox, because there is some hope in him. He has the national theme, something to hold to. So he will live, but the other will die. Just as in the case of individuals, if the principle of life is undisturbed, if the principal function of that individual life is present, any injury received as regards other functions are not serious, do not kill the individual. So as long as this principal function of our life is not disturbed, nothing can destroy our nation. So we see somebody is, just Swamiji is giving example, somebody meets an accident and he breaks his leg or breaks his hand or breaks some other bone. But so far as his main life, vital organs are intact, then his life doesn't aid. This life force won't leave his body. Because vital organs are functioning, some leg fracture has come or some skull injury is there, something. So that jiva, that pranas will not leave that body. The pranas will stay intact. What was sometimes a serious injury it may be, but vital organs are still functioning. Heart is still functioning, brain is still functioning, kidney, liver, everything is still functioning. Other organs are backyard, but the person still lives. Like that Swamiji says. So what he's saying, see, as if the principal function of that individual life is present, any injuries received as regard other functions not serious, do not. Like this, what happens if our principal idea or principal orthodoxy, if it survives, then our national personality, if you call the whole India as one jiva, as one person, that person will not die. If the vital organs are still surviving, if the vital organs of this orthodoxy, if they are still surviving, then he won't die. But if that also he will leave, if that orthodoxy is also left, if that tradition is also left, that culture is also left, that heritage also is left, then what happens? The vital organs also will give. Then the brain is not, they will be, that Indian organism will become brain dead or heart dead or liver dead like this. Then what happens? Then the pranas will say, no, I cannot continue in this form. So like this it will happen. So we have to protect this. It is our duty to protect the vital organs because they are the thing. So that is what he is telling. But mark you, next he says, if you give up that spirituality, living and aside to go after the materializing civilization of the West, the result will be that in 3 generations you will be an extinct race because your pranas will leave. Your pranas will say, oh, vital organs are all not there. They are damaged. So Swamiji is warning them. If you completely copy and leave your vitality, you leave your own strength, then you will perish within 3 generations. Because the backbone of the nation will be broken. The foundation upon which the national edifice has been built will be undermined. And the result will be annihilation all around. All around. So Swamiji is telling that this is continuously is warning the Hindu race to wake up to its own heritage and to do whatever possible, die for it, protecting, nothing doing, no other compromise, because these are the vital organs, they must be protected. Because our collective organism of India, this great nation, has to be protected at any cost, at any sacrifice. This is what Swamiji's call is. Therefore, my friends, the way out is that, first and foremost, we must keep a firm hold on spirituality. That inestimable gift handed down to us by our ancient forefathers. Did you ever hear of a country where the greatest kings tried to trace their descent, not to kings, not to robber barons living in old castles who plundered poor travelers, but to semi-naked sages who lived in the forest? Do you ever hear of such a land? This is the land. In other countries, great priests try to trace their descent to some king. But here, the great